Alright, when we last finished, we had just created our home page, and what we're going to do is go on and do our specifications page. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click and drag a text box. Oh, I have to remember always to do that. Go ahead and change it so that my layer 1 is my active layer, and I might go ahead and just call that content, just so it's there. Now, I went ahead and dragged that down first because I wanted that image box or that text box to be able to be seen by the page so I could move things down, because I know that I'm going to drag in a little bit of something extra here. So what I'm going to add is my heading at image. So let's go to File, Place, and I know this is the main spec page, so that's going to be in here. Let's put that in. Of course, if we decided that we wanted to edit this just slightly, we could crop it a little bit if we wanted. But of course, since we scaled this thing in Photoshop before we did that, then of course we wouldn't want to do that if we want all of them to be the exact same size. But since this is a subpage, maybe the image would be a little bit smaller, but yeah, who cares? Anyway, now you'll see if I go down to that text box, you'll see that it's pushing down the page. I found that sometimes when I put the image first, it only wants to respond to the image, and then when I put the text box in, it doesn't want to push down the page. So I found putting in a blank text box first is a good idea. Anyway, what I'm going to do is add another bit of text to this page because we want some sort of like heading for this. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag on top of this box and do specifications, and then I'm going to select that text. Now with that text, over here in the top, we can change our settings for it, so I can go ahead and make it a little bit larger, and I can also go and find a different font. I like to go and add web fonts because these are definitely fancier out there. Now they are only accessible when you have a an Adobe Creative Cloud account and you're currently logged in. There are other ways to bring in other web-hosted fonts, which are really cool because you can browse to a local folder and bring in some different ones, or you can drag and drop SVGs, EOTs, WOF files in here. It's quite nice that you can use these. But you can find a file that works for you or a font that works for you. I've just decided to use this Alpha Slab and hit OK. And now I can go up to the top and use that particular font, which is really great. Let's change that to there. And I'll have that go all the way across for that specifications. Now, exactly where it's going to go in my design is not something I've really thought that much about. You know, I just was kind of playing with this more than anything else. But of course, we can certainly change it so we do not have any stroke anywhere, and then we can change our fill on our text to be the color that we want. So if I decided that I wanted some sort of yellowish color, it might actually work out pretty well. Let's go ahead and just see, or maybe not. So it is kind of interesting that you have to go into the text itself to change the colors. Just be aware of that. Alright, I'm not going to worry too much about it. Now, I'm going to go online and find out where I've got some information about this. So here's some of the specifications. And I'm going to just go ahead and copy and paste some of this text from here. And when I go from here to Muse, let's just see what happens when we go and copy and paste this text. I'm kind of curious. And that is what I kind of expected. It just would not give me that formatting, which means that I would have to come in here and reformat this text. Now, do notice some things about this. Let's do memory card, SD memory card. That's a lot of different things there. There's an image sensor right there, so that's where I do my little thing. Let's see. Type digital lens. Man, it's really hard. Memory card. It's really hard to tell what's the return and what's not. So there's a lot of reformatting of text that you would have to do in here, which is really kind of the point, I guess. And that is, you'd probably want to make separate text boxes for certain things. because I don't think it's tab aware. Now you can do some minor formatting in this type, and that is by selecting it and going up and then changing it to like bullet points, or either putting it with numbered bullet points. And of course, once you've kind of got the style that you like, and if we decided that we wanted to use the Lucinda Sans again, then you would go ahead and make a style for this. And this would be my content paragraph. Then I know I'm using that. Of course, we can go ahead and put something else in here, which would be specs. And if we were to change this to a larger size, make it bold, make it a different font, maybe get a different color. Now we could go ahead and apply that as a new style, and this we could call NH2 possibly. Now somehow I deleted my styles that I had before because I just didn't save that particular document. But of course you can start to lay out the text the way you want, and then you can start to bring in other images, other content images. Now if I had a bunch of different content images, like I have some in my original folder here, here's my specs page, I can load multiple images in here and then apply them as I like. So now I can put that one in, and it's got a little space. Then I can put another one in that would go on the left hand side. Whoops, that would go on the left hand side. Sorry. And you can see that I can even align that with the other image right up there. And then I can align this one. So now it's aligned with both. So it's really nice that you can do that. Of course, you can have some space apart from them. And I think at one point, if you do it just right, this is kind of cool. If I put this there, you'll see it snaps to 36. Then I can snap that to 36. Then I can move that over to the other side. Whoops. Move to the other side, holding down the Shift key, and it should go straight across. That way I've got 36 pixels in between all of them as I'm working. Then I can move this down that I want. I'm going to copy and paste that. And of course, we would change this when we need to. And then paste another one. There we go. So now we've added a little bit more to that page very easily. Now, of course, formatting the type is something that takes time. I'm not a huge fan of it in Muse. I prefer it actually with HTML, but it is what it is. Now, one of the things I do want to point out is you noticed that when we were looking at the particular page, this was actually using a accordion slider. And I believe this does exist in Muse. If you come down in here, we have the ability to use an accordion, and if we dragged that out, we would actually be able to do this actually right in here, which is really quite cool. So that being said, let's go ahead and just delete a couple of these real quick and expand this out. And then I can, if I can get this thing, gotta get the whole thing selected, I'm going to expand it all the way out. And now what I can do is start to add these things actually into that panel. So that panel has those elements. Gotta be careful, it's kind of a pain. But I can actually put that panel in here with the text and then give it the style that I want. And it's actually inside the panel group, and now I can then go ahead and when I test this page, you'll actually see that work. Well, so it's acting a little funky, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry too much about it. But you'll see we have the ability to actually simulate that panel group, kind of like it was on the original design in Muse. It's pretty cool when you really look at it. So let's go ahead and stop here, and we'll go on to the gallery page.